Welcome to Koken's Corner as we get into the Friday, August the 14th edition. And I'm going to get more into the baseball next week, but there's 5 NHL playoff games on tap today, so I thought I'd do a brief run-through on each of the 5. I will tell you that this is not going to be a strong card for me. I don't like Game 2s that much. I'm more into Game 3s, and there is one Game 3 on the schedule tonight. I'll talk a little bit about that, but it's a game right now that well, I'll get to it in a moment. So let's just run through these quickly. Arizona, Colorado. I'm taking these in schedule rotation order, not the time order. Arizona, Colorado. I mean, the first game was a complete mismatch, even though it was nothing into the into the third period. But the Avalanche completely dominated that game, and Arizona is going to have to figure out a way to slow them down and do more than they did in Game 1. I mean, it was 40-14 or something like that in shots, and shots on goal aren't always the most accurate barometer of what's taking place in a game. It's more territorial advantages, but I mean, it was all Colorado. And I don't know if the Coyotes can make the adjustment there. Price is really high on the game. It's too high for me to get involved in, but I do think the Avalanche will win. I'll save the Canadiens and Flyers because that's the one I'm going to use as the free play. Vancouver and St. Louis is interesting because last year Binnington was just unbelievable for the Blues. And I mean, he's so much a part of the reason the Blues came from nowhere to win the Stanley Cup. He hasn't been the same guy this season. He's been okay in the regular season. He has not been okay in this postseason, and he was just plain bad in Game 1. So Berube's got an interesting dilemma here. You obviously have to stay with Binnington. You just can't put Jake Allen as the starter in this game. But I think there's going to have to be a short leash. If Binnington lets in another bad goal early, and he let in a couple of really, really bad goals in Game 1, I think you got to make a change at that point. So we'll see how he handles it. As for the game, boy, the Canucks are going to come out of that game with a lot of confidence. And while I think the obvious reaction here is to look at this and say, well, the defending champs are coming off a loss. This is a bounce-back spot. They just haven't played a good game yet in this postseason. And I'm not willing to bet that they're going to do it here. I'm not going to take the Canucks because I do think it's a spot where the Blues, or at least they ought to bounce back. But I think it's a tough bet, and I left that game alone. The Islanders and Capitals is interesting because Washington has to play a lot better in 5-on-5 than they did in the first game. Now, the Islanders want to stay out of the penalty box because, they did let the Capitals get off that lead in that game, and that made their hill kind of tough to climb. They did climb it, though, and ended up scoring 4 goals in a row. This is one where I might get involved in live betting. I want to see if the Capitals have made some adjustments and are a little more on even terms or better in 5-on-5 play. If the Islanders are still carrying it 5-on-5, they're going to win the hockey game. So this is one where you might want to get involved as the game goes on and take a shot at that point. And Dallas-Calgary is a Game 3, but there's just so many uncertainties here. First of all, I don't know who the goaltenders are. We'll get those later on. I would imagine it's going to be Hudobin for Dallas. Bishop was not particularly good last night. And I would think Talbot finally sits. He's been playing all the games for Calgary to this point, but I think 2 games in 2 days, and he wasn't great last night. I think you might get Riddick in goal here. Don't know what the status of Tkachuk is, and he's a vital part of the Flames' game plan. I mean, he's kind of their straw that stirs their drink, if you will. He gets under the other team's skin. He can do things offensively. He's not bad defensively. He's just a good player. He looked like he took a concussion late in the game. If you watched that game and saw him having to be helped to the dressing room, if this was regular season, there is no chance Tkachuk will be playing in this game. We'll see if they follow the same protocol in the playoffs. I don't know whether they will or they won't, but he's a big part of the game, and I don't think I'd want the Blues, or excuse me, the Flames without him. The flip side of it, by the way, Dallas played some really stupid hockey with the lead last night, and I'm not so sure that I want them here. I lean to Calgary, but with so many uncertainties, I think I'm going to pass. As for the free play, Canadiens and Flyers, the Flyers are the better hockey team, but I'm going to take my chances with Montreal in this game. They're getting a pretty good price. And speaking of price, he was absolutely amazing in the first game. So was Hart. The Canadiens have perhaps a galvanizing factor with their coach having been taken to the hospital with chest pains. Hopefully he's going to be okay, but sometimes teams really respond to this. And I think Montreal comes out of game one thinking they can play with the Flyers. I'm going to make that the free play today. The Canadiens plus about 130. I ran a little longer than I'm normally going to with these, with this thing today, but so I'll just say goodbye and check out WagerTalk.com for my baseball plays that are up right now.